W7LRH radio. I'm doing my normal Saturday net here. Hams on the Gram, digital voice network. So on YSF, that's GB Hams on the Gram. On DMR, that's talk group 23444. But just dropping that in there because it's a good group of hams to get together and talk, in case you felt like checking them out. But in the meantime, what we're going to do here is an audio comparison between the FT-2DR and the FT-70DR, because it surprised me a bit. So we'll do the FT-2DR here first. I will turn it up to maximum volume, and there's going to be some distortion, and then I'll turn it back down to max usable volume, and then we'll compare that with the FT-70D.
So can you give us any other more details on this? So how would you do that, and what is the configuration that you were looking forward for doing effective amplis? G8R again, M0PQA.
PQA G8R, yeah. Well, it's a matter of, what you've got, making do with what you've got. And as my vertical isn't in use now,
so that's max usable for the FT-2DR. Let's crank it up on the FT-70.
Obviously I can make longer distance communications, but like you say, it's very rare I ever hear a UK station on 40 and 20, unless they're really close by. So, most of them hop over the top of you. But all I thought was, the principles is to keep the antenna low, which is in opposite to what you would normally do. You'd keep it high, wouldn't you, above the ground, but you keep it low to the ground, and then you've got a near vertical incidence of
So I'm not using a decibel meter or anything, but it's coming across to me that the FT-70DR is a lot louder than the FT-2DR. Just for fun, it's not going to be synchronized because the DMR and the OISF groups are slightly off of each other, but I'm going to turn up FT-70DR to max volume, and then we're going to compare it to an Alinco DJ-MD5, which I've got sitting back here at DMR radio, and see just how it stacks up for audio.
To interested parties. I'm 0PQA, G8R, yeah.
G8R again, thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah, and exactly. I think that you hit the nail on the head. You have to work with what you have and modify to whatever you could do. So rethink your situation, your antennas, and maybe adapt something, and see whether they continue or not. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to take a moment here for taking any other check-ins in case that anyone else is around. If you want to join the Hams on the Ground digital mode, just please state your name and your call sign. This is M0PQE Net Control. Nothing further. So this is M0PQE to the...
So, to me, the FT-70DR is clearly louder than the FT-2D.
Most of you, well, several of you, if not.
And DJ-MD5 is, gets the same amount of audio out there as the FT-70DR, if not a little more. Alright, so what's the point in doing this? Like I said, I wasn't being precise using a decibel meter or anything like that, but just an operator here sitting in a quiet room listening to these things. FT-70 puts out a lot more audio than the FT-2. But am I disappointed about that? No, not really, because I was drawn to the FT-70DR, and that was the first digital handheld I bought because it reminded me a lot of my VX-7R. The same sort of ruggedness, same sort of loud audio, same sort of, you could drop it, I've dropped this VX-7R down some rocky trails and in some creeks and things like that, and it's been all right. And And so I see very much the FT-70DR as just a digital version carrying on what the VX series did. There's a lot of people out there with VX-5, 6, 7s who have been taking in some pretty rough conditions, and they've been doing just fine. And so I see that a little bit more with the FT-70DR. It costs you less money, it's more rugged, it's going to be louder, better outdoor radio. FT-2DR, perfect thing for what I'm doing right now, sitting in the shack talking through a hotspot. Got a good deal on it, so I picked it up just to kind of compare it, but I mean, I'm not going to take this thing outside unless it's just in the backyard. My outdoor radios are still VX-7R, FT-70DR. To be honest, with the pretty screen on the Alinco DJ-MD5, I don't know if I'd take it outside either. Well, just there's not going to be as much use for DMR. I'll do a separate video about the DJ-MD5 and how it's a little bit different than most DMR radios, because you can just use a VFO on it and tune around and do some simplex ham radio type stuff without having to have it code plugged. But I think so far I have, when hunting and driving around, used C4FM. I've used the DN mode on Yaesu radios, and it's been kind of cool because it gives you a distance and direction from people you're talking to and stuff like that, and it's fairly handy. It is a useful way of using digital as an outdoor mode. Plus, if you see your digital light lighten up on a Yaesu radio, you could just kick it through the modes real quick and see if you pick it up. If you see digital light lighten up on your DMR radio, as far as I know, you can't just kind of on the fly try some different things out. You need to have it code plugged ahead of time. So anyway, there's a little audio comparison of these two fairly popular Yaesu handhelds with some thoughts about what you should actually be using them for. All right, until next time, 73's W7 LRH radio.